Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter.
This video is about This Is Us. After all, season 4, episode 17, After the Fire, is airing tomorrow. This is, I believe, going to be one of the most emotional episodes we've seen. There's going to be a lot of Jack. There's going to be a lot of Jack in periods that we're not used to seeing Jack. I think all of this is going to be very interesting, but the main subject of this video leading into it is William in the context of Randall and Jack, because in both the promo that we've seen and also a lot of the photos that NBC has put out for this episode, you see William and Jack in scenes with the young adult version of Randall, who we've seen a lot of this season already, and I think there's a lot of questions that we need to unpack here. But before we dive into any of it, if you do enjoy this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. We have a lot of This Is Us coverage coming tomorrow night. Be prepared for that. Are you prepared mentally for what this episode is going to do to us? Because I'm not sure I am.
No, I'm not. And there is a lot, well, there is going to be a lot to unpack with this, but the biggest thing that was the takeaway for me from the promo was this moment where we saw sort of this young adult Randall with his dad meeting up with William. So it started to kind of get the wheels turning with us, and we started getting into a discussion about it, and we thought we'd come in here and share it with you guys. The idea of Randall feels, because I feel, and I don't know if you agree, that a lot of this sort of what if is just going to mostly be in Randall's mind, and that it's not going to be a what if scenario. It's going to be more of like what he thinks it was going to be like if his dad was still alive. And one of the things that he thinks would happen if his dad was still alive is that he would have met William sooner, that his dad would have taken the steps to take him there. And so we started to kind of get into a conversation about it, because we have seen in the past a situation where Randall finds out that Rebecca's known all along where William is, and sort of a little bit of that situation, and got really upset from keeping it from him. And so in his mind, if Jack was alive, Jack was going to take him there. I actually don't know that that would be the case unless Rebecca said, yeah, you know what, let's do this. Because Jack and Rebecca were a unit. And as much as Jack and Rebecca both would be there for their kids, and if they needed something, no problem, but something that was a really big situation like this, they were pretty close on the front about it. So I don't know that he would have actually done that, and he would have taken him to see William, unless Jack and Rebecca had that conversation beforehand.
There's a couple of things. I do agree with you. I feel like this episode is going to be Randall's interpretation of what could have been, like his own mind's eye point of view. I don't really get the sense that This Is Us and the writers want to sort of play God and sort of dangle this in front of us of, okay, this is how every little event would have happened, because at that point you're creating an alternate timeline. I don't believe This Is Us needs to create alternate timelines. I think it's fine.
It has enough timelines going on. We do not need more.
We do not need the This Is Us Earth 2 all of a sudden to suddenly exist. I'm fine with it being what it is, but I think the other thing that's important to recognize is that Randall's perception of Jack is not often the reality of Jack, and the irony of this perception being here now is that this adult version of Randall, who I presume the Sterling K. Brown version is going to be sort of leading this episode, like, he's fully aware of some level of all of Jack's warts. Like, he's aware of Jack's addiction problems. He's aware of Nikki, and that Jack had this secret that he never really told anybody about.
Yeah, and we even saw with the whole sequin fight where Kate had this complete perception that this was the best day of their life, and there was all this big sequin fight and how great it was, and she had blocked out some of the other stuff that even Randall knew about when Jack threw the plate at the wall, and he was like, you're forgetting this kind of stuff. So I'm very curious and interested then to see what his perception of what it would have been like if it really would have been sort of this sugary idea that, oh yeah, Jack would have taken me to go and see William when I was much younger. I would have had more time with him. Jack would have done all these things. We don't know for sure that he would have, because he did keep this secret about Nikki from everybody, and that was a huge secret.
And I think the other part of this that does sort of add this, false sort of sheen to whatever narrative Randall's trying to craft here is the question of, I think he thinks in his mind that had he known William earlier, he would have had more time, and that Jack apparently would be the one to make this happen, even though we don't know if that's the case. But, would William have even been ready for, a decades-long relationship with Randall? I mean, I think there's always still questions there. I mean, we've seen definitely great moments for William. We've seen a lot of struggles for William. There's still a lot of William's life that we don't really know fully.
Yeah, I mean, things happen for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, was it that, yes, Randall had a smaller amount of time with William, but maybe this was the right time that William needed to meet Randall and Randall needed to meet William. Maybe there was something earlier on where if William was in there, that maybe it would have taken away from something else. Maybe it would have added to something else. Maybe William wasn't ready for it. Maybe Randall wasn't ready for it. That's sort of these questions that I'm hoping that they're going to address on this episode, and it's not going to only be this perfect gift wrapped in a beautiful bow in his mind, and that this therapist is going to dig a bit deeper with these types of questions to kind of get Randall more in the reality of things.
Well, let's try to be the therapist ourselves here, because I think there's this other interesting question, and that is, we know that Randall, he sort of feels like he is a savior figure in some ways, where he helps other people, he brings the family together. Do you think on some level he's feeling like, okay, if Jack was alive, I could have met William earlier, I could have enriched his life, I could have made his life better?
Or maybe Randall feels that his life in general just would have been different, where he could have still been this young adult and lived that type of lifestyle, where instead he feels he had to step up in Jack's role because he feels responsible for letting Jack go back into that house because he didn't say something. So maybe it's him sort of playing out in his head what it would have been like if his dad was around to continue to take the dad role and he wasn't stepping up as a young adult taking on the dad role.
I do think it's an interesting choice that This Is Us is really bringing in William at this point in the season, because William has pretty much been MIA for the entirety of this. And I mean, understandably, when you have a character who's not alive in the present and Randall doesn't have that much of a history with them in the past, it's hard to really, I think, find these moments. But I think it might be just a little bit of nostalgia. That could be a part of why they're bringing him in at this point. But also, I think to give us a more comprehensive look at Randall's just overall psyche.
I will never complain about having more William on this show. He's such a great character, and I'm pretty excited to see him back. I will say that. And it is going to be cool, even if it's just this sort of alternate reality in his head, to see what it would have been like to see Jack and William meet and see what that connection would be like, and see if it sort of hit nerves in him. He's not inherently a jealous man, but, would it start to maybe take away from what Jack feels inside of him? Like we did see that episode where Randall had that teacher in school who was starting to connect with him on a different level, and Jack was starting to feel like, maybe I'm losing a little bit of my footing with my son. Maybe he would have had some of that. Maybe it wouldn't have played out exactly like Randall thought.
Let me ask you this question too, because I think it's an interesting idea to look at sort of Jack and William through all these different scenarios in Randall's life. And, Randall can't ultimately change too much about what happens to William, but with Jack, he kind of can. But how long do you think he's going to play this out? I mean, do you think this episode we're going to see, a much older Jack being there, helping to care for Rebecca and what she's going through right now.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna break my
I
heart.
know.
They can't do this.
Oh, they can do this, and I think they will do this. I think that will help. I think that's going to put Randall's mind at ease and make him feel like, oh, you know what? I'm going to be okay with this because Jack would have been here and he would have known the right thing to do, and I think Randall would have assumed.
Yes, I know. They are going to go there. I'm just not ready
We're
for
in the
it.
yeah, I know.
Listen, we only have 2 episodes left, and yes, I think that Randall will be feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wonder if one of the things he's going to end up feeling, and it could just be a passing feeling, I mean, we all feel this sometimes, is a little bit of resentment towards his dad for not being there, and that he is the person that feels like he has to shoulder all this responsibility, and now he's lost 2 fathers, and now he's gonna lose his mom to a disease that has no cure, and he just feels maybe, you know, darn, if you hadn't gone back into that house, you would have been able to help me with this, and I wouldn't have to now lose a 3rd parent.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be a raw, emotional episode. I mean, it's, if you want to feel all the feels, just, watch it with your family. I know this is not the easiest time for a lot of people out there, but, Family Matters, this is us, the show that's really all about that.
I do not want to see Jack at that bedside. I don't think I can. I didn't even think that could be a thing that's coming, and now...
Yeah, sorry. But, it could happen. So we will be back with more discussion on This Is Us tomorrow, as well as we'll have some details and teases about the upcoming finale. I've not seen anything that suggests that it's going to be delayed or anything else, so, we'll have more information on that tomorrow. But for now, what do you guys want to see on This Is Us Season 4, Episode 17, with William, with Jack? Are you ready for an emotional just destruction that comes with seeing Jack far in the future? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store, and we'll see you here next time.